Good afternoon, students. Welcome to the daily current affair analysis for UPSC CSE. These are the topic for discussion for today, for the day 27th of March 2024. We have this 15 topics, and lastly, we have practice question for the topics that we have discussed today. Let us jump into the news. Employment scenario in India grim, says ILO report. So, International Labour Organization and Institute of Human Development, that is IHD, have released a report named India Employment Report 2024. These are the key findings of the report. First, a rise in unemployment among educated youth. So this has nearly doubled in the last 2 decades, from 35.2% in 2000 to 65.7% in 2022. Second, trends in unemployment and employment. While employment and underemployment among youth increased between 2000 and 2019, there was a decline during the pandemic years. Educated youth experienced higher levels of unemployment during this period. On the basis of employment, we can categorize underemployment and unemployed. Underemployed are those who have jobs but they receive a paycheck which is below the skills that they have, or the working hours are fewer. Whereas unemployed are obviously those who are without the job. Next is changes in labor force participation. Now, these labor force participation, worker population ratio, and unemployment rate, these are the key indicators used by these methodologies to see the labor market of our country. Labor force participation, this is the formula, that number of employed person plus number of unemployed person multiplied by 1000 divided by your total population. In worker population ratio, number of employed person divided by total population into 100. Proportion unemployed, that is number of unemployed person into 100 divided by total population. Unemployment rate, number of unemployed persons divided by number of employed person plus number of unemployed person into 100. So you can see that in worker population ratio, the LFPR wala part, that is number of unemployed person, have been removed and the rest has been kept. In proportion unemployed, the number of employed person wala part has been removed and the other part has been kept. So accordingly you can remember the formula. Paradoxical improvements have been seen that despite the movement away from the agriculture, the non-farm sectors have not been able to absorb workers from agriculture. The non-farm sectors obviously includes dairy, transport, etc., etc. Informal work and livelihood insecurities. In India, the contractualization is increasing. About 90% of workers are involved in informal sectors, and which has its own limitations like lack of social protection. Next is skill gap among youth. So youth lack some basic computer skills like emails with attachment or using spreadsheet, which is a concern. Gender gap in labor market. India obviously faces a substantial gender gap. Women labor force participation is very low. Social inequalities. The report highlights that in the low paid temporary casual work and informal employment, mostly people from SC and ST are employed. Finally, the report underscores the need for comprehensive strategies to address these challenges and create more inclusive and sustainable employment opportunities in India. Now the next one, sensing China threat, India joins Sri Lanka in race for seabed mining, applies for exploration rights. So this is a deep sea exploration vehicle being designed in India by NIOT Chennai Matsya 6000. The article says that India has applied ISBA, that is International Seabed Authority, for rights to explore two vast tracts in Indian Ocean seabed, notably cobalt-rich A and C Mount region. This A and C Mount region is located at the junction of India Antarctic Ridge, and we will have much more discussion about this in the coming minutes. Yeah, you can see it here. ANS, that is AN seamount, a major seamount in the central Indian basin, has been interpreted as a product of excessive late Cretaceous volcanism at or near the India Antarctic ridge. So it was formed during the late Cretaceous volcanism period, right? Since we are discussing about the seamount, you can also look at the ocean relief features. At this starting of the ocean relief feature, you will find the continent and then the continental shelf, then your continental rise, continental slope, abyssal plain, seamount, mid-oceanic ridges, volcanic island, abyssal hill, rift valleys, magma, trenches, which are the deepest part of the ocean, submarine canyon. Revise it later as part of your geography revision. Seamount obviously is a underwater mountain with steep sides rising from the seafloor. Here I want to ask you to comment. I want you to comment which one is the world's largest or the tallest seamount. More about this news. Sri Lanka has already claimed rights to AN seamount, but India's application is prompted by reports of Chinese vessels conducting reconnaissance in the area. This area is important because it is rich in cobalt, nickel, manganese, and copper deposits. UPSC has asked a question about ISB and Commission on Limits of Continental Shelf. You can look more into this and read the information here. Let us move to the next news. Kaveri is not just about water. Yesterday we were discussing about Kaveri River, its origin, and I had given you a task to comment the right and left bank tributaries of Kaveri. Before that, we can look into the rivers of South India. So you can remember it from arranging from north to south. That river Penir is the northernmost here in Tamil Nadu. Then Pallar, Poniyar, Kaveri, and then Vagai. Left-wing tributaries of Kaveri include Harangi, Hemavati, Shimsha, Arkavati, Sarbanga, and your Thiru, Mani, Mutharu. Right bank, Lakshman Tirtha, Kabini, Bhavani, Noyal, Amravati, and Moyar. Please remember this as part of your prelims preparation. Next is Ugadi. Ugadi means the beginning of a new year. This is celebrated in Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Karnataka, and Goa. This can be asked as part of the art and culture question in prelims, or you can remember this also. Kerala stares at heat wave like condition, IMD issues alert. Here, what is important for us is to understand the criteria which is used by IMD to declare heat waves. In the coastal areas, whenever the station temperature is more than or equal to 37 degrees Celsius, IMD can declare a heat wave. So, recently in Thrissur and Kolam, the temperatures soared up to 40 degrees Celsius. That's why the IMD has declared heat waves. Here you can look at the differing criteria used by IMD to declare heat waves in plains and hills. So in the plains, the heat wave scenario will arise when the temperatures are above 40 degrees Celsius, whereas in hills, it may arise even when the temperatures are 30 degrees Celsius, right? Now the next news, India supports Philippines sovereignty, says Jaishankar. Here, what is important for us is to understand the issue of South China Sea. China has been building artificial islands in the South China Sea and doing much patrolling and territorial exercises here, exercising dominance. Other countries which border the South China Sea apart from China are Vietnam, your Philippines, Malaysia, Indonesia also, some part of the Indonesia also, right? And also you have to remember which countries do not border. Like Cambodia does not border. It does not border the South China Sea. Laos obviously is a landlocked country, so it will not border it. Okay, and these are things are important from the perspective of maps in the prelims examination. Please go through this PDF as I will provide them in the WhatsApp group. Next news. Activist ends hunger strike demanding statehood for Ladakh. So Mr. Sonam Wangchuk was carrying on his hunger strikes in the last 21 days. He and his supporters were demanding statehood for Ladakh and its inclusion in the 6th schedule. So here the topic of 5th and 6th schedule becomes important for us to let us go through and revise the topic. In the 5th schedule, the areas are called as the schedule areas. 10 states in India have tribal dominated areas, which includes the state of Andhra Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Gujarat, Himachal, Jharkhand, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, Odisha, Rajasthan, and Telangana. There is a tribal advisory committee in scheduled areas, but they do not perform administrative duties directly and do not have much autonomy. Also, you might be remembering the 1996 PISA Act, the Panchayat Extension to Scheduled Area Act, which is applicable to fifth schedule areas. Sixth schedule, these are called the tribal areas. They are tribal dominated areas in Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura, and Mizoram. You can remember this by ATMM: Assam, Tripura, Meghalaya, and Mizoram. Here we have autonomous district council, which have much more autonomy and carry out local level governance. PISA is not applicable here, as they already have much autonomy in their self-governance. So that's why, because there is much more autonomy in sixth schedule, that's why the Ladakhi people want Ladakh to be included in the sixth schedule. Okay, I also have included few MCQs on the basis of these topics. You can practice them at the end. Next is inaccessibility and cost cripple efforts to treat sickle cell disease. What is a sickle cell disease? It is a distortion of the red blood cells. When the red blood cells contort into a sickle shape, this leads to sickle cell anemia problem. See here, a healthy RBC would look like this, where there is an unrestricted blood flow, but when these are affected, these convert into sickle cell. These sickle cells block the blood flow, which results into a genetic disorder. So this article says that this article highlights the challenges in treating the sickle cell disease due to inaccessibility and high cost, particularly among the marginalized tribal community in India. Here are the few pointers. First is access to basic healthcare. There is a case study of this person called Suraj, who was since 5-year-old he was diagnosed with SCD, struggled to access basic healthcare and diagnostics due to under-resourced health system, inadequate information, and high expenses. Prevalence of SCD in India: around 15 to 25,000 babies born with SCD in India. So India has the third highest number of SCD births. Challenges in treatment: although we have an initiative like National Sickle Cell Anemia Elimination Mission, treatment and care for SCD remains inadequate, inaccessible, especially in states with high prevalence among marginalized communities. Cost and availability of treatment is very high, especially the bone marrow transplantation, CRISPR gene editing technology. These are inaccessible and expensive. Ethical and legal consideration regarding adoption of CRISPR, which is a gene editing tool. So article concludes by saying that integrating issues of access to diagnostics, drugs, health information, and community support is important for addressing the challenges faced by individuals with SCD and ensuring a healthy life for them in the long term. Next is stop the war. Yesterday we were discussing about the UNSC resolution on Israel, that it should cease fire in Gaza. The article says that this article talks about the UNSC resolution, which was passed 14-0 yesterday, which called for immediate ceasefire in Gaza amidst the ongoing conflict between Israel and Hamas. It highlights the significant casualties and displacement suffered by the Palestinians and in Gaza. The US surprisingly has abstained from vetoing the resolution, which also indicates a shift in its policy under the Biden administration. Israel responded with anger, but the article suggests that the continued military action could exacerbate domestic and international challenges for Israel. It urges Israel to heed the UNSC resolution, declare a ceasefire, and pursue diplomatic efforts for humanitarian assistance and negotiations with Hamas. So there is a building of international pressure also on Israel. So that's why it should heed to what the global communities are saying. Next is a cry for help, a call for reflection and action. This article talks about the concerning socio-academic climate in India, particularly focusing on the challenges faced by youth and rise in suicides among them. Students want to get into the competitive exams like JEE and NEET, but due to mental pressure, they commit suicide, especially in the places like Kota. The article says that due to lack of job opportunities and financial constraint faced by many families, this also contributes to the pressure on students. It points to societal and family expectation as a significant factor, emphasizing the need for empathy and acceptance. We need to empathize with those who are suffering from mental trauma, and also we have to accept the failure. This is the part and parcel of the life. We have to understand the society. Additionally, the article calls for greater support from educational institutions and social infrastructure to address the mental health challenges faced by the students. So this was all about this article. Next one, the democratic political process is broken. This is an important article to understand the democratic political process in India. It says that our democratic political process occurs where consensus building traditionally occurs. It talks about where do consensus building traditionally occurs in a country. Firstly, it occurs as a part of public discourse, as a part of civil society, and also as a part of political parties. And the article says that how each of these has evolved to hinder constructive collaboration. So instead of a constructive collaboration, the democratic political process is broken. It is being hindered. And why? The points are mentioned here. In public discourse, the loss of credibility in mainstream media, rise of social media and hyper partisanship, etc., have made dialogue and deliberation challenging, with engagement prioritized over substance. Civil society, which was traditionally considered as the voice of conscience, have become dependent on the state and focused on single issue campaigns rather than reconciling multiple viewpoints. Political parties too prioritize internal issue over party agenda setting, leading to a preoccupation with internal political dynamics, power dynamics. These pathologies feed off each other, fracturing the ability of different actors to come together and collaborate effectively. Despite the complexity of the issue, the article emphasizes the importance of addressing these challenges to restore the democratic potential of India's political process. So, article basically says that this to deepen the political process in India, democratic political process, the public discourse, civil society, and political parties need to constructively collaborate, which is currently missing. Next is, it is time for comprehensive reforms to municipal elections. So we all know that 74th Constitutional Amendment Act was brought in to provide for urban local bodies, and subsequently state election commissions were constituted for municipal elections. The article says that there are various challenges facing the municipal election in India and calls for comprehensive reforms. Like, it talks about the issues of delay in holding elections. Many states are not holding elections on time, which is a violation of the constitution. Second, delayed formation of the council. Even when the elections are held, there is a delay in formation of councils, electing the mayors, deputy mayors, and standing committees, which obviously hinders the decision making and governance process. Role of state election commissions. SECs are tasked with overseeing municipal elections, but their power vary across the states, so there should be a parity. Potential role of SEC in mayoral election. Given the recent Supreme Court intervention in Chandigarh mayoral election, there is a suggestion to explore a greater role for SEC in mayoral election to ensure fairness and independence. Need for reform roadmap. There is a call for reform roadmap to ensure timely, free, and fair municipal elections. This includes standardizing mayoral terms to 5 years and addressing issues such as undue influence on election scheduling and conflict of interest. Overall, the article emphasizes the importance of strengthening the democratic process at the municipal level and suggests that the Supreme Court may need to intervene further to ensure the integrity of municipal election, as it has done in the case of Chandigarh elections. Next, the need to curb black carbon emission. Black carbon, UPSC has been asking questions related to these carbon related terms like blue carbon, black carbon, brown carbon, etc. So let us first look at what is the difference between black and brown carbon. Black carbon is formed by the incomplete combustion of inorganic waste. Black carbon is largely emitted by high temperature combustion. It absorbs approximately 72% of the total aerosol absorption in the atmosphere. It absorbs up to 70% of the all visible light. It has 50 times more absorption capacity than brown carbon. Brown carbon is emitted primarily by burning of the biomass. Brown carbon absorbs 19% of the total aerosol absorption in the atmosphere. It has approximately 15% warming potential of absorbing light, and it has 10 times the mass of black carbon. So black carbon is much more dangerous to the environment as compared to other forms of carbon. The article says that Firstly, it talks about that black carbon is a dark, sooty material emitted alongside other pollutants when biomass and biofuels are not fully combusted, and it contributes to global warming, etc. And the use of traditional cook stoves burning biomass like cow dung or straw is the biggest contributor to black carbon emissions, accounting for 47% of the total. To address the issue, the government of India had launched in 2016 the Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana, which aimed at providing free LPG connection to household, BPL household. And currently, we have the achievement of providing connection to over 10 crore households as of January 2024. However, there are still challenges that remain. First one is that still many beneficiaries rely on traditional biomass fuels because of factors like high LPG prices and also the availability of LPG. Second, the low refill rates and lack of last mile connectivity in LPG distribution also hinder the success of PMUY. There is a solution which has been suggested by the article that local production of coal bed methane gas by composting biomass would be a better alternative to LPG, and it is also cleaner and has low black carbon emission. Also, addressing the black carbon emission is crucial for India because it wants to reduce the health impact and also further its global climate mitigation effort. So these are the reason why black carbon is a major problem, and it can be reduced by use of these LPGs and also the local production of CBM, gas by composting biomass. Next, can AI help in navigating mental health? So recently we have this AI innovation boosting up, and there is a phenomenon, there is a language processing called as natural language processing, which is a part of AI, and it helps in changing the mental health care by offering personalized support to the patient. The patients often are hesitant to reveal their mental status, but since there is a private conversation with the AI tools, they can feel free to tell about their emotion, thought, and offer much more information about them. Clinicians say that NLP powered tools summarized a large database quickly, providing comprehensive patient histories. They predict medication responses, streamline treatment decision, and reduce wait times. But there are challenges like dataset bias, which needs ongoing improvement. Companies also need to use diverse datasets and include more health indicators for better patient care. Government and institutions must ensure user safety and compliance. Despite challenges, NLP offers great potential in mental health care, promising easier access to care and better health outcomes. You have to comment that which is the recent program launched by Government of India to address the problem of mental health. Next is RBI action to restrict credit growth. Now, the article says that the RBI has taken several steps to control excessive lending, improve compliance, and protect customers. These actions may slow down loan growth and increase the cost of capital for banks. S&P Global Rating predicts loan growth to decrease from 16 to 14%. Obviously, if RBI does the tightening, regulatory tightening, the banks will hesitate in giving loans at the cheaper rate, and subsequently the lending market will be affected. While they aim to make the financial system stronger, they also could make it harder for smaller banks to compete. Investors may demand higher premiums due to increased regulatory risk, affecting the value of financial institutions. So these were the articles that were important for today's daily current affair analysis. These are the practice questions that I've given. Please practice them and give your answer in the comment section or on the WhatsApp group. Have a nice day. Keep reading. Be happy.